and welcome to All About Community. My name is Robert L. Harris, and I am your host. My. What a turbulent time that we're living in today. I said turbulent because a lot is going on in Washington, D.C. Can you believe it? We've had a former president who has led an insurrection against the Electoral College, trying to prevent the counting of the votes. That is unheard of. No person in the history of this nation has ever done anything like that. And this former president thinks that he ought to be left alone, that nobody ought to bother him, that he can shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue with no consequences. Then we saw Paul Rand, who argues that, Senator Paul Rand, who argues that it's unconstitutional to try a former president. Even though he's been impeached, the Senate should not try him because that will be unconstitutional. Now, that's what Paul Rand argues. But listen to his argument. Here's a man who supposedly has a medical degree in ophthalmology, never even seen the inside of a constitutional law book, making the stupid argument which 45 Republican senators voted. Ain't that a shame? I believe there was a song one time called Ain't That a Shame? And it is a shame.
Yes, it is.
Don't let me get carried away. I do have a guest today, but I get so excited about the nonsense that some of these people perpetrate upon the people of these United States that it's sort of like a fire shut up in my bones, and I can't take it. We do have a guest again, and her name is Antoinette Clark, who is the secretary of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People.
Yes.
Antoinette, welcome to All About Community. I know I probably shook you up with all those radical remarks, but I'm just tired of being non-radical.
Well, you shook me up a little bit, but I feel your energy. I sure do. I feel your energy.
You feel the energy?
Yes, I do.
All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about you and your background. Where were you born?
I was actually born in Martinez, California.
Martinez?
And
all right.
Raised in Richmond, California.
Go Richmond.
And later moved to Oakland.
All right.
Yes, so as a little girl growing up, you know, of course, I was born in the 60s, so the early 60s.
Well, you don't have to tell your age now. You don't look about 24 or 25.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. But just hearing of a lot of the racial discrimination events that were happening during my time of growing up.
When you were a small child.
When I was a small child, and actually experiencing racial discrimination personally in the 6th grade.
Really? Tell us about that. In the 6th grade?
So I attended Martin Luther King Elementary School in Richmond from kindergarten to 5th grade. And then my mom decided she would bus my sister and I up to Kensington Elementary School.
Yes, I know where that is.
So it was somewhat of a culture shock, considering at Martin Luther King Elementary School, it was the majority of black children there. And then having gone to Kensington, being around a lot of white kids, it was an adjustment. And not only just an adjustment with relating to the students, but the teachers as well. Black children were treated differently.
When you say treated differently, what do you mean by that?
I would say treated differently in terms of the quality time that the teacher would spend with us and helping us with our work. Also, the students would have their coats on the back of the chairs, and the black student, she would go around and she would kick our coats. And oh my God, yes. So I, as a little kid who has always had a strong will, I not push back in terms of push the teacher, but push back with words and said, don't kick my coat,
And what did she say back to you?
Well, she asked one of the other students to walk me to the office, and I got suspended.
For telling her not to kick
For
your coat?
telling her not to kick my coat, and it was my very first suspension that I had ever had as an elementary school student. So.
And how did you deal with that suspension?
It was quite difficult. My mother, she was really bothered by it because I was a good student in terms of, how well I excelled in school. I did really good in my subjects. And for her to kick my coat, my mom could not believe that I would have to get suspended for asking her not to do that.
Now, I won't ask you, but what did your mom do about that incident?
Actually, she talked to the principal of the school. She did have a conversation with the principal, and they were going to suspend me for a few days, if I recall correctly, but I ended up only having to stay out for about a day.
Okay.
Yes, but just to experience that and seeing the differences in how we were being treated as students, and it was so much different where we had black teachers at Martin Luther King Elementary School who really, really nourished us, who really supported us, and who was there for us and worked with all of us equally.
So at the black school, you felt as though you were appreciated, and you felt as though they cared about you. But when you got to the white school, you experienced something that was different. We're gonna have to go to break. Don't touch that remote. We will be right back. Well, put it down. Put the remote down. We will be right back with All About Community. My name is Robert L. Harris, and I am your host.
Hi, we're Minuteman Press Oakland in downtown Oakland at 2406 Webster. We're your local printer. We help your business grow. We provide flyers, business cards, direct mail, any product that you need to promote your business, we have it. And remember, at Minuteman Press, no job is too small and no job is too big. Come by, stop at our shop at 24th and Webster, right behind the YMCA in downtown Oakland.
Hello and welcome back to All About Community. Again, my name is Robert L. Harris and I am your host. When we went to break, I was speaking with Antoinette, who is the Executive Secretary of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, Oakland branch. And she was talking about some of her early life experiences, having transferred from an all-black school to an integrated school, and some of the disparate treatment that she received. But I want to change the subject a little bit so that we can find out a little bit more what happened when you got to high school.
So,
and where did you go to high school?
I went to Harry Ailes High School, which was an integrated high school. So I really didn't experience many issues around racial discrimination. However, what was interesting and what was different is that you had white teachers there who really took interest in educating us and who would actually get on us in terms of being focused and actually learning the subject matters. Now,
And did that make a difference for you personally to have the white teachers showing interest in you?
Yes, it actually gave me a different perspective in terms of white teachers, and to know that all white teachers are not teachers who are who actually would present racial type of
so in other words, there are some white teachers who are genuinely concerned about educating black children.
Absolutely, yes,
Right.
yes, and it was genuine, and you knew it was genuine because they would stay on you if you needed help. You can stay after class, and they would spend that extra time with you. And then the African American teachers, the black teachers, boy, they were more so like your parent. They didn't play.
They didn't play.
Yeah, so not only just teaching, but there was a combination of teaching and discipline that I found with those African American teachers in high school. So.
And what was your first job, if you recall, after graduation, and what was your first professional job?
My first professional job after graduating actually was across the street from my high school. It was at the YWCA, where I actually did general clerical work. And so after leaving the YWCA, I worked for the Social Security building in Richmond.
Oh, I remember when that building was built. I was living in Richmond at that time, years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So I worked there for quite a few years, and then I left there and I went to, it's Grant and Smith, CPA.
Well, you know, I know
Ralph
Smith.
Grant.
They're my accountants.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Ralph Grant was an old friend of mine, one of my fraternity brothers. As a matter of fact, I knew him all of his life, and right up until his death, untimely death. And Charlene continues to be my CPA.
Oh, nice.
Mhm.
Wow. Well, hopefully she'll get a chance to see this and she'll remember me.
Well, yeah,
Yes,
we'll send a
Charlene.
copy.
Yes, Ralph Grant and Charlene were the first, I believe, yes, they were the first African Americans that I got a chance to work with who owned their own business.
They did indeed.
And
Yes.
it was such a treat for me. It was a treat. I really enjoyed working with them. I learned a lot working with them. Charlene was, she was not as liberal and easygoing as Ralph.
Well, you
was
know, Ralph
more
always had a
soft-hearted.
smile.
Yes.
I never seen Ralph when he was not smiling. He was he's one of the most gracious persons I've ever known. Now, when did you end up at UC Berkeley?
So I started working for UC Berkeley in 1991. So
Long
I guess
time
I'm
ago.
gonna almost telling my age here, huh?
Oh, it's all right.
But,
I won't tell anybody.
Okay, don't tell anyone. So in 1991, I started working for UC Berkeley as a secretary, actually. Worked there a couple years, and then from there, I became an administrative advising assistant. And then I became a part of a facilitator group called Diversity Awareness and Resource and Education Group. It was called DARE. And then that's where I began to study a lot around diversity.
And how did you get involved with the NAACP?
Well, with the NAACP, it's so interesting because as a little girl, I would say around junior high school, I recall saying to my mom, I want to be a part of the NAACP. I used to see the Black Panthers and the Black Power and, and the fight that they, fought for equal rights. And I always wanted to be a part of that as a little girl. And I remember my mom saying, well, if you want to be a part of the NAACP, you can go to their office and sign up. And you went and you didn't go and sign up? I didn't go at that point. I didn't go and sign up. But later on in the years, as I got older, Cynthia Adams, who is our second vice president for the NAACP Oakland branch.
She is a tenacious person.
Oh my God, yes she
takes
is.
no prisoners.
Yes, and she'd pull you in too, she'd pull you in. So I saw her at an NAACP event some years ago, and she had invited my mom to this event, and she said, why don't you bring your daughter? So my mom brought me along with her. And I'm at the event, and while we were there, Cynthia started talking about the NAACP.
And I bet you she was passionate.
Oh my God, very passionate, and she reeled me in. She told me, she said, as a matter of fact, we're having an executive board meeting. I'd like you to come to our meeting. We're getting ready to do this. There was this gospel event, and so Ben Jealous was the president during that time.
Oh yeah,
Ben Jealous was the president.
An old friend of mine.
Yes, and so I went to that event, and after attending the event, I attended the executive committee meeting,
and then you were hooked.
I was hooked, and that was over 10 years ago.
Over 10 years ago. We're gonna have to go to break. Put it down. Don't touch it. I told you not to touch that remote. We will be right back with All About Community. Again, I'm speaking with Antoinette Clark, who is the Executive Secretary of the NAACP, National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. We'll be right back.
Positive Links Day program is a community center that provides disability awareness to remove some of the stigmas associated with the disabled population. We are located at 675 Hagenberger Road, Suite 255 in Oakland, California. Our mission is to be a voice for those that don't have a voice. We are recruiting community volunteers for training to assist us to develop and provide awareness for the treatment available for the disabled community. If you would like to volunteer, you can reach us at 510-878-9779.
Hello, and welcome back to All About Community. Again, my name is Robert L. Harris, and I am your host. When we went to break, I was speaking with Antoinette Clark, who is with the NAACP, Oakland branch. We were excited about some of the things that's been going on with the NAACP. We were talking about Cynthia Adams and her passion and how you became involved 10 years ago when Ben Jealous was president, and that hooked you. Now that you are engaged with the NAACP and your position is the executive secretary, which is really the elected secretary of the branch, what are some of the things the branch is working on? I know, isn't education one of those things? Anything about that?
Yes, education is one of the big issues that we have, and especially here in the Oakland school district. And so right now we have been really focusing on this literacy program and our youth reading and learning how to read, and which has been a big issue.
Is that a real problem in the Oakland public schools in terms of reading for our young students?
Absolutely, yeah. There's a big issue, big problem with our youth learning. And one of my things is, if you can't learn how to read, then how can you progress to go to college to learn how to do the work in college and then thus get a job? I mean, in order to read, you have to be able to, in order to be able to have the opportunity to learn to read, is going to prepare you for your future in terms of your college and your schoolwork. Your schoolwork and getting a really good job.
It's also, I believe, that if you've not really learned how to read by third grade, then they start projecting how many prisons that they're going to build for our young people based on how well they're doing in the third grade. So they're starting early. So it's so critical that we do everything possible to make certain that our children learn how to read. If you can't read, you're out of it.
Absolutely, you're out. I mean, you become, as you mentioned earlier about them building prisons, you become that prisoner. You become that statistic.
That's right. That's why they're building those prisons, projecting that you're going to be there to help them make money. As a matter of fact, the prison is the only form of slavery that is permitted under the 13th Amendment. Isn't that amazing?
Wow. Amazing.
Slavery.
Wow.
Imprisonment is slavery. And I want you to remember that because we're in Black History Week. Black History used to be Black History Week. Now it's Black History Month. It ought to be Black History all the time,
Black History
every day. And we got to give praise to Carter G. Woodson, who was the founder of Black History. And it is important, in my view, to read his book called The Miseducation of the Negro. The Miseducation of the Negro by Carter G. Woodson. Go to the library, read what Dr. Woodson has to say, and I think it will change your life. So that's just a plug for our audience.
Mm-hmm.
But let's talk about, for a couple of minutes, if we can, about the election of the first Black Vice President of the United States, who happens to be also a woman. She's the first Black Vice President and the first woman and the first black woman
Yes.
president, all
yes,
three
yes.
of those. What do you think about that?
Oh my God, I think that is such a blessing. Not just a great opportunity that she's been given, but a blessing for her to be in such a powerful role and position to help make a lot of the changes that we need to even have happen as the NAACP organization, and being able to put different policies and into place and legislation into place to help make a difference. Just seeing her as a black woman in that role is just so elating. I mean, she's such a role model, and she's such a testament for many of us to the fact that we can do it. We can make it. And once we get in those roles, to really, really to think about what it is that we need to do for all people, not just because you have a lot of folks in that position. As you know, there's mainly white folks
That's
who
true.
are in those positions, but to be able to have a person of color and being
And a
black,
black woman, and,
Yes.
and she's talking about Kamala Harris, born right here in Oakland, California, at Kaiser Permanente Hospital.
wow.
And just think about the fact that Trump was trying to prevent her from becoming Vice President of the United States. What a despicable person he is. There is none more despicable than that former president. I hope and pray that the Senate will convict him, but I know those politicians in Washington who support him will not have the courage to do that which is right. We're gonna have to go to break. Put it down. Don't touch that remote. We will be right back. Again, my name is Robert L. Harris, and I am your host.
Sinclair Miller Medical Association, founded in 1968 by Dr. William Sinclair and Dr. Rudolph Miller. The organization was formed to improve the health care of African American and other minority people in the Bay Area. Sinclair Miller Medical Association offers annual scholarships to high school, nursing, and medical students who are African American. Presently, Sinclair Miller Medical Association has over 160 members. Sinclair Miller maintains its commitment towards the betterment of the field of health, education, and welfare. For more information about Sinclair Miller and scholarships, contact Sinclair Miller today at 510-863-4560 or visit our website at www.sinclairmiller.org.
Hello and welcome back to All About Community. Again, my name is Robert L. Harris, and I am your host. When we went to break, I was, getting a little carried away as usual, getting excited. We were talking about Kamala Harris being elected Vice President of the United States, and that Trump was trying to prevent her from taking office by trying to destroy the electoral college voting system, which is a whole new story. But let's, and since this is our last segment, let's talk a little bit about why should people belong to the NAACP?
Well, as many of you know, the NAACP is the nation's largest civil rights organization, where we focus on issues around economic, political, social issues around racial discrimination. And as we know, it's so prevalent in this world today. And in order for us to end that, it takes a large body of people. There's strength in numbers. And the more people that we have who are fighting for these equal rights, the better we'll be able to hopefully to put an end to it.
Do you think you're making any real progress?
Well, we are making some progress. We are, yes, we're making some progress, and I think an example of that, as you mentioned, is about Kamala Harris.
And something else too.
And,
2 senators from Georgia.
Yes.
One of them black.
Absolutely, yes.
And that really set off Trump.
Yes, it did. And as they say, you know, the democracy won. I mean,
Yeah.
and we did it through the voting process, which the NAACP, we put a whole lot of work into making that happen as well. And as I mentioned again, strength in numbers. And we had many folks to get out there and vote and make it happen for us. And what I'd like to say is that we need as many of you out there who are not an NAACP member. We need you to join us in this fight.
Now, how do they get involved? How do you join the NAACP?
It's easy.
It's easy.
simple.
All right.
All you need to do is send an email to Oakland
But what if I don't
NAACP.
have an email address? What if I don't
Well,
have a computer?
if
I
you-
can't join.
If you don't, well, I know you have a cell phone. Most folks have cell phones.
Okay.
So if you interested, you can either call our membership chairperson, Barbara Melion, at 510-927-0133.
Oh, you're talking too fast. I couldn't hear that.
You couldn't
Now
hear
say it
that?
again.
Okay, I'll take my time.
Slowly.
510-927-0133. Barbara Melion. She's our membership chairperson. Or you may email her at naacpmembership1051@gmail.com.
Now, how much is this going to cost?
Oh shoot, it doesn't cost that much.
Oh, how much?
We have several different types of memberships. We have our general membership, which
How
is
much is
$30.
How much?
$30. That's
Oh,
all.
Only
$30,
$30?
and it's not $30 a month.
Even I can afford that.
$30 a year.
A year?
I'm sure you have $30 that you can invest in the NAACP organization. So get your application now.
And she really means that. It's nothing more important than being a member of the NAACP. It is your civil rights insurance. If you don't have insurance, you know what is likely to happen to you when something happens. Therefore, you should always have civil rights insurance. We're going to have to close this session. Our next session is going to focus on the Warriors Foundation. The community. We have someone here from the Warriors, Ayana Moody, who's
I know
also
her.
involved with
Yes,
the NAACP.
Yes. Ayana is actually our third vice president.
Oh, well, I'll
of the
get a
NAACP
chance to talk to
Yes,
her about
she is.
that.
She is. She's our third vice president.
Okay, well, thank you for joining us, and thank you, Antoinette Clark, for being my guest on All About Community. But don't go away. Stay tuned for the second segment,
Thank you for having me.
and we will be right back with All About Community. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.